Why did SHEDEUR Sanders fall in the NFL draft? There's not a simple answer opinion. There are many layers to why quarterback SHEDEUR Sanders had a precipitous drop in the 2025 NFL draft. The quarterback was forecasted by many to go in the first round after he set Colorado's single-season records for passing yards, completions, attempts, touchdowns, completion percentage, and quarterback rating last year. Yet, Sanders didn't hear his name called until the Cleveland Browns selected him in the fifth round of the 2025 NFL Draft, ending a lengthier than expected wait. Even with the production and the talent, there was still a question after he tumbled down draft boards all the way to Saturday afternoon. Why did Sanders slide to round 5? USA Today Sports spoke to several individuals around the NFL to investigate why Sanders fell to the 144th overall pick in the fifth round of the draft. Overall ability as an NFL quarterback. Despite Sanders' success at Jackson State and Colorado, many NFL teams didn't view him as a top quarterback prospect. He's a really good quarterback but doesn't have traits that jump off the chart. Former NFL All-Pro running back and current NFL Network analyst Maurice Jones-Drew told USA Today Sports, "Doesn't mean he's not good, but he's not the fastest and doesn't have the strongest arm. Arm strength and mobility are considered two of Sanders' main weaknesses when evaluating him as an NFL quarterback prospect. He completed just 47% of his passes beyond 20 yards and 68% of his passes between 10 to 19 yards at Colorado last season. He also completed 54% of his passes when under pressure last year. Sanders was sacked 94 times in 2 seasons at Colorado, the most in FBS during that span. There were several reports leading up to the draft that criticized Sanders' draft interview process. CBS Sports reported that Sanders' spiral down the draft reflects how he carried himself during the process. The Ringer reported Sanders had a poor interview with the New York Giants, a team that ultimately selected quarterback Jackson Dart in the first round. "I'm not going to get into that," Giants general manager Joe Schoen told reporters Friday after reports surfaced about Sanders' unfavorable meeting. An anonymous NFL assistant coach told NFL Network his meeting with Sanders was the worst formal interview he ever had. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And when the juice has some flaws, the squeeze of managing the personality and dad equal it not being worth it in a lot of instances, an NFL agent told USA Today Sports. The agent spoke on condition of anonymity because they don't represent Sanders. Furthermore, Sanders declined to play at the East-West Shrine Bowl and elected not to participate in drills at the NFL Combine. Each event can impact a prospect's draft status. It's important to remember that it's still a job interview when we're going through the pre-draft process and as clubs are evaluating a potential face of the franchise. It's important for a QB to look the part, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. SHEDEUR harbors a similar personality. SHEDEUR has moxie. He's loud, he's arrogant, he's flashy, and he's proud. A college football coach told USA Today Sports. They spoke on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the matter. Sometimes perception isn't reality. One NFL agent told USA Today Sports that many reporters have about 4 or 5 sources and oftentimes don't have a great sense of how the entire NFL views draft prospects. In terms of SHEDEUR's pre-draft projection, there's a lot of amateur scouting in the media, and there's a lot of misinformation that comes from clubs and agents. Given SHEDEUR's notoriety, there's a greater probability of misinformation because it's low-hanging fruit for information seekers, another NFL agent told USA Today Sports. The agent spoke on a condition of anonymity because he doesn't represent Sanders. The consensus was this year's QB draft class wasn't strong. Several evaluators pegged Sanders as a second-round prospect. Teams differ in their draft evaluations and have contrasting boards. I can't speak to why the market priced him the way it did. Browns general manager Andrew Berry said to reporters Saturday, "We had our own internal evaluation in terms of how we view the skill set and the quality of the player. It's apparent there were several factors on and off the field that contributed to when Sanders was drafted. Sanders doesn't have the strongest arm, nor is he a very mobile quarterback. Despite those limitations, he's an accurate passer when protected and a good distributor of the football. His records at Colorado validate that. Plus, he was viewed as a leader among his teammates. I ranked him as the second best quarterback prospect in this year's draft behind No. 1 overall pick Cam Ward. Sanders' perceived arrogance shouldn't be criticized as long as he has respect for others. However, poor interviews can negatively impact a player's draft status. It's a necessity for all athletes to have some level of confidence and/or arrogance to be successful. A big part of being a top athlete is psychological. I know this as a former athlete. The Sanders name does come with notoriety, but that can be channeled as a positive under the proper guidance. Sometimes a team and an environment can determine a player's level of success in the NFL. Sanders is in a situation where he can earn the starting job in year one, given the state of the Browns' quarterback room. The Browns enter the next phase of the offseason without a clear-cut QB1. Aside from Sanders, they have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, rookie third-round pick Dylan Gabriel, and an injured Deshaun Watson on their roster. It wasn't necessarily the plan going into the weekend to select two quarterbacks, but we do believe in best player available. We do believe in positional value. We didn't necessarily expect him to be available in the 5th round, Barry said. We love adding competition to every position room, and adding him to compete with the guys that are already in there. We felt like that was the appropriate thing to do. The good news for Sanders? He's got an opportunity to prove his naysayers wrong with the opportunity from Cleveland, even if that came in the 5th round instead of the 1st. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity throughout everything, Sanders said to reporters after being drafted by Cleveland. I don't ever focus on the negative or even think about the negative, because the positive happens so fast.